All right. Cloud Foundry Foundation Technical Oversight Committee for 1st November 2022. We don't expect to have a quorum of committee members today, so we probably won't make any decisions, but we are going to hear from the Paketo working group. So over to you, Ryan.
Sure. Yeah, so let's see. We just got back from KubeCon, and that was a really great chance for Paketo to kind of get its name out there and bring some more folks into the buildpacks space. Yeah, so we had a couple talks for the Cloud Foundry Day, and then we had another talk that was later in the conference at KubeCon itself. Cloud Foundry Day 1, I think the folks here know how that went. It went pretty well. But the KubeCon talk was really good. It was very well attended, and folks were really interested in the topic and had good questions. So yeah, I thought that there was some insight that Franky and Sophie brought to that specific talk that I think folks found really compelling. As far as the project goes, we are, like, the major things we're working on still are Jammy support across all the build packs that we support. So we've got the latest one to land was web server support. So this is mostly making Nginx and Apache HTTPD run on top of Jammy. And I think the last two that are outstanding are Ruby and PHP, but we're rapidly closing in on full support for Jammy across the board. And then in addition to that, we've got a couple other tracks related to some smaller items, mostly making sure that folks, when they go to upgrade from Bionic to Jammy, that their experience is good and not one that's just everything breaks. And the last couple are related to reproducibility in the build images themselves. There's some language ecosystems that have not necessarily made this easy, but you can kind of tweak and prod at the language runtime to get it to do the right thing in that regard. So we're trying to figure out what those knobs are and set the defaults so that the images come out reproducible more often than not, hopefully. And then the last one is Yarn 2 support. So Yarn is like a package manager for JavaScript ecosystem. They had like a major breaking version change in version 2, and it's been a struggle to try to get to a state where we can support it, but we're pretty close. We've had a plan for a while, we just haven't had the resources to look into actually delivering on that front. The rest of the stuff has just been smaller things, and then we've had a more concerted effort recently on kind of community outreach. So David Espeo is our kind of community manager person, and he's done a really great job of kind of cataloging the current state of the world for the project, and then also kind of providing us some path or set of things we can do to try to improve the community outreach. Some of the stuff that we've worked on recently have been things like trying to expose more who are the folks adopting Paketo build packs. We've got a new like adopters MD file where we're kind of cataloging people who are actually using the project and how they're using it. And then just trying to encourage contribution. So David started a contributor of the month project where the core team looks at the contributions that have come in over the last month, and we kind of vote on someone who we think should deserve some swag. And I think we send them like a t-shirt or something like that. And they get it, announced at the working group meeting. And yeah, it just hopefully encourages people to contribute a little bit more of that recognition. Yeah, and then in addition to that, we're looking to see if there are some working groups or other kinds of conferences that we can go and present Paketo build packs at. I think we've done a really good job of focusing on the operator style persona of like, this will help you scale out building images and you don't have to worry about all these security vulnerabilities and these thousands of Docker files that you maybe maintain. But we haven't necessarily done the best job of selling to the actual application developer who's building that thing. And so going to where they are, you know, in a language focused kind of working group is probably our best chance to speak directly to those folks and just convince them that they don't really want to futz with a Docker file and they'd be better off using something like buildpacks. So yeah, David again has put together like a spreadsheet with a bunch of stuff that's upcoming across a bunch of language ecosystems. And we're going to see what makes sense for us to present when. Yeah, anything else you want to know about Paketo right now?
Have you got any OpenSSL 3 vulnerability stuff in the pipeline?
Yeah, it is 7:40 a.m. here, so I assume hopefully we already have patches going out. I think they were supposed to come out at 6 a.m. here. Although there was like a 4-hour window in which they would come out. So I'm not entirely sure. I haven't checked my Slack to see. We have people on the team who are on point to like make sure that the patches come out and are shipped in stacks. For us, it only impacts Jammy because it's only OpenSSL 3, but we'll get stacks out for Jammy. And then also on the Cloud Foundry side, CF Linux FS4 patches as well.
Brilliant. Nothing else from me on that. That was the only thing that struck me. I think everything else, to me, sounds very sensible. Yeah, it'd be nice to see Paketo grow because the buildpacks idea is a solid one.
Yeah, I think that all sounds great. We might consider stealing some of the contributor of the month or other outreach things for some of the other working groups or CF projects or something. Yeah.
Great.
Is there anything we can help you with?
Nothing is coming to mind. I think we're doing all right. Yeah.
Cool. Well, we're always here.
Great. Yeah.
If you think of anything.
Yeah, of course.
Yep. Brilliant. Any more before we? No? Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Ryan. We have a little bit, I stuck in the agenda just in case anybody wanted to update from KubeCon. If there was anything valuable to
Sure.
bring up.
I can, just real briefly touch on, I think it went very well. Everybody seemed to have a good time. The lineup I thought was particularly strong. And I did get word that we're going to have the videos released sooner rather than later. So that should be up. They should all be up this week. So people can watch the talks at their leisure. We had, let's see, attendance. We had 58 registered in person and 42 in attendance. And then I don't have the virtual attendance numbers, but there were 156 registered. So that's pretty good. Another significant stat, there were 0 code of conduct violations, which was a significant improvement over our last event in Philadelphia in 2019. So that's great. Yeah, I think it was great to get Karifi and Paketo in front of a wider audience. And yeah, just a lot of fun to see everyone.
I think one of the biggest wins for me throughout the 3 days was to find out how many people actually already knew about and were using Paketo buildpacks. I'm not saying that just because Ryan is here, but obviously not a lot of people recognize Karifi, but a lot of people were intrigued to find out what Cloud Foundry was doing at a KubeCon, and they were like, "Oh, we know Cloud Foundry, but what's all this other stuff?" And then a lot of people came and said, "Hey, I'm already using buildpacks, and I have these questions." And it was it was very encouraging to see how much of awareness and usage the project seemed to have.
Yeah, I think it was definitely the time to get Paketo in front of a wider audience. And Karifi is still so young, but also, that's it's pretty important. So
Yeah, the talk that happened later on Friday at KubeCon, we got to present Paketo entirely out of a context that had anything to do with Cloud Foundry. And the reception there was great. I don't think anyone had any there was no situation where they were like, oh, wait, can I use this with Kubernetes, or any sort of confusion. They understood that this was something that you could use anywhere. And so you got to see Paketo kind of stand on its own outside of, what is the kind of Cloud Foundry context. And that was really great to see.
yeah, that's fantastic, and probably a little bit overdue.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, folks. Since we don't have a quorum, we won't bother looking at PRs or anything. Before we close out, any other business people want to address? No? Brilliant.
Are we gonna try and get who would be next up? Oh, foundational infrastructure for
Yes.
an update next week. Okay.
Yeah, that'll be an easy one to to organize.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I will make sure that happens in the next 6 days or so. Other than that, shall we go have 45 minutes of our lives back? Or for the next meeting, whichever you want to use it for.
Have a good one. Thanks.
Thanks,
Thanks, everyone.
folks.
Bye-bye.